It's great to have you here and to have you
Hey,
back,
thanks for
Mr.
having
Mayor.
me.
So, we've talked a little bit about this conundrum between, I sort of boringly comes down to what the Fed should do, but do we have an economy running too hot or too cold? And what's the right way to address the problems most consumers are feeling? What are your thoughts?
I think that continuing growth in employment has to be an objective of both monetary and fiscal policy. And I also believe that the Fed, in its tightening efforts, has to be extremely careful not to overreact and perhaps create a 70s style stagflation situation where you have both high inflation and high unemployment. What these jobs numbers show is that job creation has been consistent since the end of the COVID recession. What the slight growth in the economy shows is that consumers, notwithstanding inflation, still have confidence. A comment on inflation: some of this inflation in the energy markets, in, let's say, grain and food markets, those are being prompted by international factors.
Right.
China, Ukraine, and the like. So if they ease a bit, and there's a discussion about tariffs and our relationship with China, if they ease a bit, perhaps the fears of a recession will also ease. I think it's premature to suggest a huge recession. I think we've got to be cautious, remain vigilant, but the likelihood is maybe a shallow slowing down of the economy until there's a rebalancing of supply and demand.
Sure. And we know it takes years to kind of get to full employment. We might be there within a few more months at this rate, helping all of those categories that I mentioned earlier. But the Fed, since its 75 basis point hike 3 weeks ago, has seen energy prices and gasoline prices fall anywhere from 15 to 25%. That has to be good news for consumers, don't you think? Wouldn't that be exactly what people would want the Fed to be trying to do here?
And I also think it is the intended effect of the Fed raising interest rates as they have done. The notion that you expect that it would have an impact on inflation, and really in a short period of time, it appears to have had that impact. But, Kelly, I would offer this thought. I think it's also important that the Fed rethink what its benchmark inflation rate is, whether 2% is correct or whether it should be higher at 3 or 4%. One thing I'm always concerned about is the balance between wage inflation and price inflation, because for a long time, the cost of living went up, but wages were stagnant. And so for the American worker and the American consumer, it's the relationship between the two that really, really counts if we're going to have a healthy, growing economy that benefits everyone in the future.